Hey, and welcome back to the Soul Podcasting Podcast, where legacy-driven creators and soulful entrepreneurs come to amplify their voice and show up with purpose through podcasting. I'm Demetria Zinga, your podcast coach and strategist, founder of Soul Podcasting Collective, and this is one of my short Thursday episodes. Quick, powerful tips you can apply right away. And if you're new here, be sure to check out my longer solo episodes, which are midweek, sometimes on Tuesdays, sometimes on Wednesdays, and tune in at the end of the week as well for interviews with creators and founders just like you. All right, first off though, I want to say my big congrats to our podcast edit giveaway winner. And I'm excited to announce that the winner of our Soul Podcasting free edit giveaway is Sonya Jones of the NuImages of You Podcast. So Sonya, you're officially getting a free audio or video edit on us. Just a little way to take a load off your plate and let you focus on what matters most, showing up with your voice. So thank you to everyone who entered, and stay tuned for more chances to win support that helps you podcast with clarity and confidence. So let's keep amplifying purpose-driven voices. Okay, so let's talk about podcast planning and procrastination. If you've ever found yourself staring at your mic or a blank Google Doc thinking, what in the world should I even talk about this week? You're not alone. And if you tend to plan episodes at the last minute or not at all, this one is for you. I'm sharing a few strategies to help you plan your content, even if you're naturally a procrastinator, so that you can stay consistent and inspired without burning out. So here's what I recommend for busy creatives. And I want you to think in terms of threes. Think in threes. Plan your month with 3 anchor episode types. This is just an idea, something you can try. It's not a rule, of course. Nothing in podcasting is set in stone. There are no hard rules. We talked about there being no set rules with Dave Campbell. If you haven't listened to that episode and that interview with me and Dave, we talked about breaking the rules and just hitting record, and that is episode 50. So I'd love for you to go back and listen to that. But once again, even though there are no hard rules, I do like to give some advice and some tips that I think can be helpful to you. So I'm going to give you 3 episode types. You can do a how-to or educational tip. Your second anchor episode could be a personal insight or an opinion. And thirdly, you could, if you want to do interviews, and you don't have to do this, once again, this is not saying that you need to interview people, but if you choose to, you can do a guest interview, or you can have a guest spotlight. You don't have to necessarily interview. You can also just spotlight someone on your episode. And even if you don't script out the exact title, just knowing your content rhythm makes it easier for you to show up prepared. I do this every month. And I don't use these particular ideas that I've just laid out for you because I have a whole different system and strategy that I'm using for this show. And my system is different for Her Business Elevated podcast, and it's different from my other podcasts, which I run 3 at the moment simultaneously. And each of those shows has a different rhythm, and the way that I prepare for them is different. But I do prepare, and I do it every month, and it helps me to avoid scrambling for ideas the night before I record. Although I must say that sometimes having that last minute little idea that pops into my head and gives me a little inspiration, I might feel just a bit edgy, and I don't want to plan it. I just want to go with my gut feeling. And I'll give an example. So recently we celebrated Juneteenth, and I had a roster of interviews lined up that were ready to be edited and put out for my Christian Homeschool Moms podcast. However, even though I wasn't planning to run this particular episode that week, I just felt like it was perfect timing to publish and promote my guest, who spoke about fostering safe spaces for Black and brown homeschoolers. Her name is DM Whitaker. She's an author. She's so many things. She also owns a book publishing agency, but her story about the discrimination that she went through in homeschooling groups, I felt like it was important to bring this topic to the surface because it's her story. And I felt like, what better time than Juneteenth, right? June 19th. So I threw everything off of my plan that was set to go. It was ready to be published. But then I said, you know what? This needs to be the next episode. So that's what we did. We pushed DM's episode a couple of weeks earlier, just so that I can make sure it was published on Juneteenth. And I think it made a huge splash. I think it made a huge difference. And I knew that that particular time would be the most nurturing, I think, for the topic at hand, and probably a safe way to explore that topic within that particular community, because that just felt right. It just felt right. And so sometimes when we are making a decision to publish, when to publish, how to publish, what to do, we have to look at our circumstances. We have to look at what's our gut instinct telling us, right? So in those cases, I like to say always be willing to go off script and to do something a little bit different. But knowing your content in advance and how you generally flow is crucial to being able to be flexible, right? So it's important to have a content anchor plan. And that's why I bring up those 3 anchor episode ideas for you. But don't let that hold you down and keep you from doing things a little differently or going off script or doing something that is not exactly how you've been doing them before. And then I'm going to recommend that you set a 30-minute weekly planning window. At least, half an hour is great, right? It's not too long, but it's just long enough to really get you in the flow so that you can plan what you want to do. And if you're a procrastinator, full content calendars are going to overwhelm you, I promise, because when you look at planning 6 months of content, that can really just blow your mind. So instead, just block 30 minutes once a week and just map out 3 things. Your topic, number 1. Number 2, you can do a couple of bullet points, 2 to 3 bullet points. And number 3, your CTA. Make it that easy. I'm serious. It doesn't have to be complicated. This isn't a script. It's a compass. It's going to guide you to create your content. I found that when I treat planning as a small, non-negotiable ritual, I'm less likely to ghost my own show. So, quick break. If you're planning your show each week and it's stressing you out, I've got you. So inside my podcast content clarity sessions, I'm going to help you map out 30 to 60 days of podcast content ideas in just 1 hour. I want you to head over to soulpodcasting.com to book a session or check out my launch and editing services if you prefer more hands-on support. But I would also love to be your podcast coach. I'm here to help you and coach you through those ideas that you're thinking through and help bring some clarity to your planning process. All right, so my next tip for you, which is my last tip for this episode because I wanted to keep it short and sweet, is to keep a running idea vault. Now, procrastination often shows up when you don't feel inspired. And one thing that Dave Jackson mentioned in episode 53 is that he keeps his ideas running, always ongoing ideas. And he keeps his notes in I think it's called the NoteJoy app. I personally am still using a combination of things. I use everything under the sun right now. And I'm really paying for that right now because I need to pick one. But I still have all of my old brain dump info in my Evernote account, so I still have that kind of open, but I'm also using Notion. And then when I'm on the go, honestly, there's still my notes app on my phone, so I'm kind of all over the place. But find what works for you, and anytime a topic hits me, I drop it in my Notion. You can do this in your notes app, you can do this in your Trello board, or even just a notebook. And this way, when it's time to plan, you're never starting from zero. Procrastination isn't always laziness, it's often decision fatigue. So an idea vault removes the pressure to be creative on demand. All right, my friends, podcasting doesn't have to feel like a last-minute scramble. So even if planning ahead is not your strength, these simple systems can help you stay consistent without feeling boxed in. And if you ever need help mapping your episodes or organizing your workflow, I'm here for you. You can visit soulpodcasting.com to learn how I can support you with editing, strategy, or planning your content with clarity and confidence. And my advice for you and my encouragement for you is to keep on creating, keep showing up, and as always, podcast with purpose, passion, and soul. Happy podcasting.